Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. A ray of sunshine in an otherwise bleak heavyweight division which is currently barren for really good fights. But Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois, which originally were scheduled for April the 11th and postponed because of the pandemic to July, it has now been rescheduled for October the 24th at the O2. That's the original venue, but a couple of date changes now. So October the 24th is the date that they're aiming for. You can see here on screen Frank Warren on social media. The heavyweight blockbuster between Dynamite Dubois and Joe Joyce boxing has been moved to October the 24th at the O2. Tickets on sale, blah-de-blah-de-blah. So clearly, they're hoping that by October they can have some fans, and Frank Warren was on the record as saying they needed to have fans for this fight. But we'll get to that because there is a press release that's come out. It's on his website. I'll go through a few of the statements. But initial reaction on social media, Joe Joyce saying, "We're back on. The fight we've all been patiently waiting for. I can't wait to get back under the lights at the O2 October 24th. Hashtag a whole bunch of things." Daniel Dubois, similar sort of rhetoric saying, "The new date, bring it on. Hashtag every belt. Hashtag Triple D." And then if we get to a couple of comments before a few thoughts. So Frank Warren on his website, press release out there, they say that government guidelines will continue to be strictly followed, but with the lockdown being eased, promoter Frank Warren is optimistic that the battle, dubbed Seek and Destroy, will finally take place in October. So I guess there's a bit of scope that if things don't pan out the way that they want, it could be moved again. I mean, that's the message that I'm getting there. So Warren says, "It'll be a fight to remember, and what a boost for British boxing. Everyone wants to see it. Lockdown has meant a delay, but we all want the fight to take place on October, and we're hopeful that the government will give us the all clear. What a position the winner will be in. They will be nailed on for a world title shot in 2021. Really? Now that is, to me, that's kind of patently laughable and ridiculous and just promoter speak. Because if Frank Warren knows the sort of landscape at the moment, he knows that either of these guys is not getting a title shot next year. They're not close enough to a mandatory shot, and even if they had the mandatory, they would be behind the current mandatory. So, I mean, the current sort of landscape for the champions, Tyson Fury's got to fight the third fight with Deontay Wilder, then he's got his WBC mandatory. That's an avenue that's not there at the moment. And after that, if he beats those guys, Wilder and Dillian White, then obviously they're talking about undisputed, which would, take out all of next year and possibly some of the year after. And Anthony Joshua, 2 mandatories backed up. And if he gets past those, then obviously they're looking for an undisputed fight with Tyson Fury. So, yeah, Frank Warren is really sort of gilding the lily there, as it were. I mean, they will be in a much better position by winning this fight. Obviously, both have different rankings, etc. Daniel Dubois particularly high in the WBO. And realistically, that's going to be his avenue for a title. But it won't be in 2021. More likely, he would have the mandatory shot in the WBO if he keeps winning and has an eliminator maybe next year, etc., in line for a shot in 2022. That is, I think, the most realistic path for Daniel Dubois if he can beat Joe Joyce. And Joe Joyce, on his side of the coin, well, obviously it's a sort of similar situation. He isn't getting to a title shot in 2021. I just can't see it. I think that's ridiculous for Frank Warren to have said that. But he's selling the fight. But I don't think that this needs, so much of that sort of promoter speak, because we all know that this is a great fight. Regardless of what's next, this is one of the better prospect level fights in recent years. It's not often you have two guys that have got under 15 fights basically putting it all on the line like this. So these guys are to be commended. But clearly Frank Warren, with trying to put the show back on in October, he wants to make money by having a crowd there. But I don't know if they will be able to have a full crowd. Would they be able to actually have, about 20,000 capacity at the O2? Will they be allowed to sell 20,000 seats? Or will they be capped at 5 or 10? And that might influence if this fight gets pushed back. Because I think this one here, this is more of a fight for the hardcore boxing fan. Sure, some casuals will get pulled in and interested, but people who've been following, boxing more broadly, They know about these guys. They've been looking out for their fights. They've been following Dubois, probably in particular, for some time. So this is a case where these guys, it's a great fight. We really get to see what both are made of. We've seen Joe Joyce in some good fights. I mean, that win against Bryant Jennings is better than anything that Dubois has on his record. But Dubois is that young gun, 22 years old, 14-0, and he has been knocking guys out in spectacular fashion. But there are questions, and obviously this would be a massive step up for Dubois in this fight. Joyce would be by far the best opponent Dubois has faced, and will answer questions maybe about his chin. Can he actually adapt in the ring? Can he knock a guy like Joe Joyce out? How will he react when he's under pressure? Some of these things we really haven't seen, and we're hoping that Joyce can sort of tease it out in this fight, because I think there's a lot of big raps on Daniel Dubois, but he really hasn't been in there with anyone who is considered a threat, and Joyce is just that. But of the fight, Dubois says, "I'll be ready to go in October for sure. It has been tough during the lockdown, but I have ticked over and I'm back in the Peacock gym helping my sparring partner Doran Krasmaru get ready for his behind closed door fight on Frank Warren's bill on July 10. Hopefully in the near future I will be able to get some good overseas sparring in. I'll be ready for October 24, so I hope Joe is coming prepared." And for Joyce, he says, "It was great news to get the new date so I can finally punch up Dubois. Obviously, once lockdown started, I had a good idea we wouldn't meet in July, but I was always staying on top of training. Now, gyms are open for athletes. I can kick on and just keep my focus on the new date, finally settling the score with Dubois and moving on to a world title fight." That's Joe Joyce there, and previous to that, Daniel Dubois and also Frank Warren, who is optimistically saying the winner of this is odds on or a lock for a title shot in 2021, which is just complete dreaming. Do me a favor, I'm giving Frank Warren his own shoulder roll on that comment. But overall, I love the fight. It's good that it's getting rescheduled, something to look forward to, but obviously it's still quite a ways away, the best part of 4 months. So clearly Frank Warren is hoping for a lot of things to sort of start changing and easing in the United Kingdom over that period, that there will be some relaxation of restrictions, that he can get a proper crowd in the O2, because ultimately that's going to be the gravy on top there to help, make some money for this fight. And we don't know what these guys are getting, but compared to bigger name heavyweights, it's probably going to be their best paydays for their careers to date, but it may not be the sort of payday that some people will think it will be. But with it being on pay-per-view, they're probably hoping the bulk of the revenue is going to be generated from that. But what do you make of this news? The fight has been rescheduled between Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.